So I'm in the parking lot of the hospital right now, and
I just started reading a book that I pre-ordered weeks ago because I'm waiting for my mom to get a CT scan done. And it's going to take a while because it's one of those where she has to drink some contrast, wait for it, and then she has to get the CT scan, then they inject her with contrast, and then she has to get another CT scan done. So I'm going to be here for a while, so I started reading a book that I have been waiting for weeks. It's called Just So You Know, I Don't Work Fridays by J.S. Cooper. And now I'm sitting here reading the book and I'm like laugh crying, and there are some people like parking next to me or across from me, and I think they think I'm crying, like because somebody's in the hospital right now, and I'm like... Alright, so I'm finally home. And one thing I learned, try not to read your books in public if they're rom-coms, because some people may mistake you're laughing for crying, especially if you are like laughing so hard that you cry, especially like if you're waiting in the hospital parking lot. Again, the book is Just So You Know, I Don't Work Fridays by J.S. Cooper. I love that book cover. I tell you, whenever people put guys like that on the book cover, it makes me wish I was pretty. I wish I was pretty so I could nab a guy like that, seriously. Anyway, the basic gist of the book is that Harriet, our main female character, works at a coffee shop. Our main male character, Finn, comes in, and of course he's the typical, like, kind of into himself, rich guy who kind of is in his own little world, and Harriet doesn't really like that. An exchange ensues between the two that I can only say mimics exactly how I would be. Harriet is basically my spirit animal. I mean, Finn too. I mean, Finn gave back as good as Harriet gave. I mean, you combine their personalities, that is so me. Snarky, sarcastic, dry-witted. Yeah, that's me. Well, Finn ended up getting Harriet fired from the coffee shop because he got a little upset with her when she decided to lie to him and tell him that she had African coffee beans, and it turned out to just be a Keurig. And so her boss fired her, and she was at risk of being homeless, basically. So she applied for a position as a housekeeper, and she lies her ass off to get the job. Of course, she doesn't know that the guy she's about to work for happens to be the guy who got her fired, which happens to be Finn. And I'm telling you, the part that got to me when I was waiting for my mom to get done with her CT scan was when Harriet, she had lied and said that she was like a culinary expert who studied in France and under Chef Gordon Ramsay. And he wanted eggs Benedict for breakfast. And this is so much else happened during this scene. You gotta read the book. But she doesn't know how to cook. She never studied in France. She doesn't even know how to make coffee, y'all. So she calls her sister in a panic while he's waiting for his eggs Benedict breakfast. Because again, she can't actually cook. She lied on her application. She's never even been to Paris. She's never even been out of her little hometown. So she begs her sister to go to the nearest restaurant, get some eggs Benedict and some potatoes, bring it over, and then she could pass it off as something she cooked. Only problem is there were no restaurants open because it was like 5:30 in the morning. The only place was McDonald's. So her sister brought an Egg McMuffin and some hash browns, and that was it. So she decided, okay, I still got this. I still got this. So she she decides to put a little twist on it. She decides to kind of like, spice it up a little bit. And then she's like, okay, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to like play a little game and get him to wear a blindfold. I'm just going to like make him like, oh, we did this in Paris all the time. Put this blindfold on and I'll feed it to you. And she was going to try to pass off this. She was going to try to pass off this Egg McMuffin from McDonald's as a quality Michelin chef cooked eggs Benedict meal. And she was hoping that the blindfold was going to make it so that he couldn't tell. Oh my God. I lost it during this scene, y'all. I was losing it. I mean, there are just some books you do not read in public. And then he mistakes her blindfolding him and then feeding him this stale Egg McMuffin for her being interested in a unique arrangement. That whole scene was just... And then to top it off, she has to host a dinner party and cook dinner for 20 people. Well, there's like 18, but she has to cook for 20. And she enlists the help of her sisters to be servers. Let's just say it was such a success that 911 ended up getting called. And she's like, I'm out, peace. And he's like, oh, hell no. We gotta talk. I'm just like, okay, first off, okay, she's working in a coffee shop. All right, she's working in a coffee shop and she serves you the worst coffee ever. And you're actually going to believe that she's a Michelin chef. And you're going to hire her as your housekeeper. And then she tries serving you a McDonald's breakfast and tries to pass it off as Eggs Benedict. And you're going to have her cook for like 18 rich people. And then he comes off as like Christian Grey from 50 Shades of Grey. They're both crazy. They're both crazy. They're both crazy. They're literally made for each other in this book. They're literally made for each other in this book. I love it. I absolutely love it. There's so much to unpack. I mean, at this dinner party, there was so much going on. Everybody's like running to Red Lobster because they forget like the scallops that they can't even cook anyway because she can't cook with crap. Not that I'm judging because I burn cold cereal, okay? Now he's proposing marriage. I mean, he's like, let's get married under the full moon tomorrow. And she's thinking, is he a serial killer? Am I working for like a serial killer now? There's so much going on. There's just way too much to unpack in this book. If you want to know any more, you gotta read it yourself. Alright, so these are the tropes that I found in the book. Pretty much. That's all I can say when it comes to the trope of this book. When it comes to spice level, I would go with this. Now again, I rate it on a level of 0 to 5. 0 would be no spice. It is a completely clean book. 5 would be y'all should be writing for Penthouse, not romance, because you took it too far. 3 is right in the middle, in my opinion, where I think it's just the right amount for this particular story, and so that is what I gave it. I really liked this book. I really liked this book. I was laughing through like 80% of this book. I really was. I enjoyed it.